to the Facebook page of Camp Death 3 in 2D. And then like and or follow that page. I'm going to encourage you to do both, but do either or, and then send a DM, a direct message to Matt Frame on that page to ask for a screener. And last I talked to Dave, he said that Matt Frame would be excited and would love to hook anyone up to view this movie before it gets widely released. And so again, the way you do that, just go to your own Facebook, look up Camp Death 3 in 2D, go to that page of Camp Death 3 in 2D, and like and or follow the page. Again, I'm going to encourage you to do both because this is a hilarious movie. There was a lot of passion that went into this, and also this movie almost didn't happen. And you're going to have to find out what I mean by that by listening to the interview after this intro, and then the intro after this intro, which is that sweet riffing that you always hear at the beginning of all our episodes. That being said, though, please, guys, ghouls and gals, keep your eyes out for Camp Death 3 in 2D. Links to their YouTube and Facebook page are in the episode notes below. And again, we hope you have a great Thanksgiving, and we hope you have a good holiday season. And after this episode, next week we'll be having 2 more episodes. And again, thank you for all the support. And yeah, I'm running out of things to say. So enough of the intro. Let's jump to it. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Punk Rock Horror Podcast. I'm Matt, and today I'm joined with some of the cast from Camp Death 3 in 2D, Dave Peniuk and Chris Allen. And I'm sorry, Dave, if I messed up your last name. I know we went over it more than once before we started this recording, but I'm terrible.
You apparently added an R after the P.
Did I really do? Because you told me, you're like, it's cool if you really emphasize the I, and I'm just like, I guess my brain's like, nah, screw that. We're gonna mess it all up.
Yeah. So I'm now officially known as Dave Peniuk.
Oh, good. Oh no, it's
all right. Okay. Matt, I'm out. I'm leaving.
What's up? You're gone, eh? That's it.
I'm leaving.
He sounds really easy, that guy.
I said I was easygoing, but I sure fooled you. I'm a real dick.
Thank you for being on the show. This has been exciting. We've been excited to have you guys on for a while now because Camp Death 3, that entire movie is right up our alley of what we like of great B horror movies. So this is an honor. Thank you.
Thanks so much for having us. Yeah, it's fun to be doing press. I mean, we actually filmed this movie. What was that, 2015?
14.
It was 14? It was a long time ago, and it had a lot of ups and downs. That a lot of people thought that it might not ever see the light of day. So to be actually doing interviews on it now, 4 years later, is exciting.
It's maybe not surreal, but nice to finally get some attention to it, right?
Yeah, and it seems like a lot of it lately. Dave, you were just at a horror movie festival in Florida, weren't you?
Yeah. So Matt Frame, the creator, writer, director, editor, cinematographer, you name it, he headed to a whole bunch of festivals, film festivals, like 55 or 58 or something festivals, all kind of horror specific. And we've already got into, I think, 13 or 14 of like the 40 or so that have notified us. So pretty good percentage. And yeah, he went out to Nightmares Film Festival in Columbus, which is a pretty big horror festival. And we took home Best Horror Comedy feature film, which is really cool. And then I went out to Florida, to Orlando, to the Spooky Empire Festival. And unfortunately, we didn't win an award, but it was certainly well received and lots of good talk about it afterwards.
Well, congratulations, first and foremost. That's awesome. Seriously. All applauds to you and the entire crew and cast of Camp Death. Yeah. So, let's talk about Camp Death. What is the plot of Camp Death? And what was it like making this movie?
You wanna explain, or do you want me to?
Yeah, well, so you sure I'll jump in on this one. Yeah. So Camp Death is definitely a send up of the Friday the 13th summer camp gone wrong genre, but I think particularly the Friday the 13th series, which the creator Matt Frame, huge fan of. So it's set in that same era, set in the sort of early 80s. Kind of vibe around that, and so a lot of fun. The camp part of Camp Death is evident throughout in its campy nature. It definitely is a movie that the way through, and so you've got a killer loose in a campground full of the mentally what do we call them in the movie, the
mentally unstable.
We try not to be politically correct at all in it, so we're just mentally retarded, and I'm a little fucked up in the head is one of the songs in the movie, so it's certainly not a family friendly film. And yeah, people start dying, and so there's the whole mystery of a whodunit and a history of a killer, and things get pretty psychedelic by the end of it, I would say too. It goes off on a tangent that maybe wasn't there in the original script that I quite like, where things start to defy the laws of gravity a little bit.
Yeah, that's a good way to define it. Yeah, it is really it's more of a comedy than a horror, of course, and a massive spoof on all those 80s slashers film. There's elements of Sleepaway Camp and of course Friday the 13th Part 3 in 3D, which is where the in 2D came from that Matt came up with. So yeah, there's a lot of fun of that, and then there's some elements of Caddyshack, except in this case it's a coke riddled squirrel instead of a gopher in the Caddyshack that does some attacking and and has some fun with that. And then and there's like some airplane-esque kind of over-the-top absurdity. Just like Matt really kind of threw together kind of his favorite 80s movies, both comedy and blended them up in some, meth, crack, cocaine, beer-induced blended mix, and this is what came out.
Yeah, it's obviously very apparent the 80s influences throughout this movie, and that's one thing that really stuck out to me when I watched it, was just the love of 80s in this movie, and the love of like movies like Sleepaway Camp, Friday the 13th, like you said, Caddyshack even, and I noticed a lot with some B movies that they kind of go and teeter on this line of trying to stay serious and not really accepting the movie that they're making. But you guys literally take this movie by the horn, and you make it your entire passion. You make it this fun project, and it's fun throughout. I mean, when you first come out with, with Fuck Your World, on like being painted on a building, you just kind of know what you're getting into this entire movie. And I shouldn't say building, I should say shack or shed or cabin in this case. And Chris Allen plays the part of Barry Brown, and Dave Peniuk plays the part of Todd Boogjumper, just for our ghouls and gals who haven't seen it yet. And this time I made sure I got your last name correct, because I felt really bad that I put an R in it, Dave.
You did better than I say it, or my parents told me to say it, so that's very good. Thank you, Matt.
You're welcome. So going forward with the humor in this movie, Dave, your expressions throughout this movie definitely sell a lot of the humor and scenes you're in. Just the over-exaggerated screams and I think one of my favorite parts is when you had the hand on your shoulder and you're just like, oh my god, and I don't know why it really looks like you enjoy doing scenes like that, and that's what really stuck out to me. Was there a scene for both you, Chris, and Dave that you really liked doing, and that was your favorite?
That is in the movie where there's a dance number of sorts that Dave and I do. Stands out for me for sure, where Dave's standing on my crippled legs, and we're doing a song for the camp attendees. We're camp counselors. And that song, we had a lot of fun with writing that and kind of figuring out how we could make it offensive with Dave standing on my legs, being which I, of course, I'm actually not in a wheelchair, so I did feel the full weight of him on my legs, but for the comedy, it was well worth it.
Yeah, and I've got to jump in, Chris. Unfortunately, that is no longer in the final cut.
Oh no,
yeah,
that's gone now.
Yeah,
that's the one I saw.
Yeah, so Matt, I don't know what you saw, but do you remember seeing that?
Yeah, that was in the one that when we.
No, I know. I'm asking Matt.
Oh.
In the version I saw, I remember seeing a dance scene where you did stand on his leg. So I might have saw an earlier version instead of the version that you're talking about right now.
Yeah,
okay.
I know the one that was definitely cut from that we did, Dave, that I really liked, that I really lobbied to keep in, was a sort of a tender scene between myself and you, where I'm sitting on your lap, or you're sitting on my lap, but it's a close up shot where you don't actually tell that you're sitting on my lap till the camera pulls out. But I really hope that the really good extra scenes section on the DVD release of this.
Yeah, and just to kind of jump on that, I've talked to Matt Frame, the writer-director, extensively about this. When we do a hard copy Blu-ray DVD release, that and even on Amazon or wherever we end up distributing it, is having some extra, outtakes and lots of needed scenes. I talked to Matt the other day, and he said that we have something like 55 minutes of like color-graded that we dropped. So basically, like, I think the final version is around 81, 82 minutes now, and we've got almost 2 hours, maybe even a little over 2 hours in total of clean footage. Yeah, did just keep chopping it because there were scenes that didn't make sense or dragged out a little bit, and Barry and Todd, that is, Chris Allen and I had some really fun scenes together, like when we're doing our dance number and singing to the mentally challenged people at our group, and yeah, that was a reveal as well, where we're singing and I'm standing on Barry's crippled legs, and then there's another scene, as Chris said, where I'm sitting on his lap and we're having a real good heart to heart, and there's a nice reveal. It pulls back, and I'm sitting there, cuddling, and we're having a man to man chat about love and relationships and being motivated like that. So hopefully all those scenes will get thrown in at some point. And so to answer, I wanted to answer a couple of my favorite scenes that I don't know are still in it. My favorite scene to film that's still in it is the makeout scene with the Australian Amy. If you could call it a makeout scene, some reviewers often said, what the fuck am I watching?
It's not sexy.
No, it's not sexy, but it was such a fun scene to film. Like, we kind of choreographed it. We filmed it around in the morning. It was pouring rain. I don't even know how we ended up filming it all, but it was pouring rain, and we had this little cover over top of the cabin, so we did the makeout scene underneath this where we were dry at least. And yeah, we just choreographed it all, where she just like throws me around like a and then of course in the background is Waffle the cook petting the squirrel with a nice reveal there too. So that was my favorite scene to film. And then I don't know if I can say a favorite scene in the film that I'm not necessarily in, but my favorite character is probably Verda, the gal that has no vertebrae because she was born 17 weeks premature. I just love her character.
I couldn't pick any better scenes myself. I guess what I want to go on from there is, so early on in the movie, Uncle Mel basically comes down and kicks you over while you're in the wheelchair and starts kicking you while you're down.
Yeah.
Well, I just personally, I gotta know, did he actually like make contact with you by accident, or was that all? How many takes did that take in order to get that shot?
Taking too many takes, actually. We were really tight for time on our filming time, so a lot of stuff we tried to get it and move on, and we were pretty into character by that point. And I mean, he certainly didn't hurt me, but I encouraged, follow through and like, let's try to make this real. Just it was, and there was a lot of ad to that scene. that was going on too, in terms of my own dialogue, in terms of getting kicked. I think at one point I say under my breath, like, "What kind of monster?" And that kind of came in the moment, and it was a lot of fun. It's really too bad that Darren's not in the call, because he's Uncle Mel is really he is a big part of that movie, of course, too.
Oh, yeah, I want my own Uncle Mel shirt that says "Fuck your world." Seriously, that like every day for me, that's just kind of where I'm at. I'm like, man, Uncle Mel gets it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does. And he one thing I'm going to throw out there, Matt, just for your listeners, and maybe you too, is one of the best parts about filming this, that most films don't have the luxury, but Matt was really creative, and was, in terms of our prep, was he had the whole cast. Once we were cast, he had the whole cast get together every Sunday for 3 months, basically June, July, and August, every Sunday for about 5 to 6 hours, and we would just develop our characters. And that's why there's so many writing credits. If you go to IMDb and look at all the writing credits, like, all of us have writing credits, and it's because we helped to develop the characters and through improv and just getting to know them. So it was really fun, because we'd get together and we got to build on these characters in character with the other characters, which you don't usually get to do on a film, especially a low budget indie film. There's just not the time. But he was really smart about doing that. And so when we got to set, which was filmed on Gabriel Island, and a fun little fact, we filmed at Seth Rogen's summer Jewish kid camp. So that camp with all the Jewish writing on it is literally a Jewish kids camp, and Seth Rogen used to go as a teenage boy, because he's from Vancouver.
Oh, wow.
So that's actually how the whole Jewish angle came in, where Uncle Mel says, I painted my dad Schmo. I'm like, Dad, sakes.
Seth Rogen.
Yeah, so things like that were just basically improv, like, because we got to the camp and we're like, holy crap, like, there's all this I guess is Islamic, is that
Hebrew? It's Hebrew.
Hebrew. Thank you, Chris. There's all this Hebrew, and we're there, and literally we had to come up with kind of changing some storylines on the spot, which was really fun. But because we'd already established our characters over the last 3 months, it made it easy. It made it really easy, and that was made it super fun. Unfortunately, there was a lot of shit that went on behind the scenes, and if you want to get into that, we can get into some of that. But I did want to share just fun of creating these characters.
Yeah, it was like having a weekly acting class. It was those were really fun times, that prep, and everyone was excited, and then actually to be physically at a camp that we were filming it in, that really hadn't been updated since the 80s. Really kind of helped get into character. I mean, Dave and I were sharing a room with like very simple mattresses, and other people were sleeping in the actual bunk beds that teenage Jewish boys probably masturbated in. So probably Seth Rogen.
Second time we've had masturbation brought up on one of those bunk beds.
Hey, all right.
Twice?
Yeah, the first time we actually did an interview with the band Mixed Kid Fridays, and they shared a story of one of them who saw lead singer of a punk band come out and basically jack off into the crowd.
Oh,
nasty.
So we're keeping the torch lit. It's great.
But I think that was really by all going away to that set, it really felt like we were away at a summer camp, and that part made it really fun, and so that initial part was great, and then there, as Dave alluded to, there was some challenges there where various people kind of had started having different ideas of how quickly we should be filming, and very amateur cast in a lot of ways too, so people had different expectations of how quickly certain scenes could get done, and people were waiting around a lot at times, and so that led to some frustration, which then when we came back ended up the rest of the film that needed to happen started to become in jeopardy for a while there, but yeah, like I said earlier, it's just amazing that here we are 4 years later doing interviews on it, so it all came together, and it really was the strength of Matt Frame, the director. He I can't imagine the amount of hours of editing he put together to do that. I mean, it was just his full-time job for 2 years straight, I would say, Dave.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because we filmed the majority of it in September of 2014. Then everything kind of got derailed for a little bit, and then Matt kind of got back on board, and we started filming in 2015. And I think we finished like 95% plus of the principal photography by like in November of 2015. And then Matt had a couple of pickups to do in early 2016, and then literally for 2+ years he just full-time edited, which is his strength. That's his background is editing. He used to work for like CBC, which is Canada's biggest TV channel, if you want to call it that. And so he used to do editing for them and a bunch of other companies. So thankfully that's where his strength was. So he could really kind of piece all this together. That took 2+ years to film.
Right on. When I talked to Matt, he definitely came off as a very cool, very caring guy, and you can definitely tell he has passion for this and still has passion for this movie. When he reached out to us and asked us to review it, and we were just like, we got to review this movie. This is right on our radar for what we like, for what we love in horror movies, and we got to try to get these guys on and get them on for an interview and try to get their name out there. And that's where I want to lead to next with getting the name out. So I don't know what it's like being out there in Vancouver, but for here in the States, unfortunately, we haven't heard many people talk about this movie, and our goal with this interview is to make that change, to make more people aware of Camp Death and the passion for it, because like what you said with the improvisation and letting us know that you basically had, acting class, you could definitely see that there's a good synergy in chemistry between the entire cast, whether it's, Uncle Mel kicking you in the gut while you're on the ground, yelling "fuck your world" at you, or someone getting their face torn off with a weed whacker. Like, you definitely see care and just this general enjoyment that you all have with each other. So anyways, to my question is, what is the difference with getting notoriety with this movie out there in Vancouver and then here in the U.S.? Do you see a big difference, or what's your experience been like?
Well, I guess Dave, you can take that one in terms of promoting it. I mean, it's fairly. I mean, the edit really only got kind of completed at the end of the summer, really, right? So it's and people can't actually get the movie yet in any way that I'm aware of, other than festivals at this point, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can, if you go on the Camp Death 3 Facebook page. So your listeners, if they want to learn more about the film or where to watch it potentially on a festival, or even to see a screener, Matt's still willing to send out screeners to people that request it, which is great, because ultimately he just wants, like you guys, Matt, at Punk Rock Horror Podcast, like, you want to get this out, and we really appreciate that. We love that, because this is a film that definitely, for the right people, they need to, because it is just so different. That's one of the biggest things that I've heard through reviews, is it's just such a unique, fun, just over the top wild ride, and it is not for everybody. Like, if you get offended easily, do not watch it. If you have any issue with horrors becoming more comedy than horrors, don't watch it. If you can't poke fun at film or at people or whatever, don't watch it. But for people that like that kind of stuff, it's really, really good. So yeah, the best way to kind of keep up to date on it is just to go on Facebook and look up Camp Death 3, search for that in 2D, is what it is, and then like the page. And we're going to a bunch more festivals. I think we've got another 3 or 4 more that have yet to screen. And then we'll be notified of more. So that's kind of the best way to get it. But you can reach out to Matt, like go on the Facebook page and a direct message to Matt Frame, and he potentially will give you a screener to watch. It's just online, and have your name on it or whatever, and you have a limited time to watch it. But it gives you an opportunity to watch it. And then we are in the process right now of talking to Amazon to potentially put it on Amazon. Matt's got one distribution company for the hard copy, not for streaming, but for the hard copy that they want to release it, but we haven't signed a contract yet because he wanted to play out the festival route. So So there's kind of a few different ways to either see it or at least, keep up to date on it. But that's certainly the best one is going to the Facebook page.
Right on. Yeah, I mean, this definitely keeps coming back to the love and care for this movie. I think the only other question, because we are getting near the end of this interview, that I want to ask is, what was probably the biggest obstacle that you ran into with this movie? Whether it was filming a certain scene or just anything in general that you're willing to touch on.
This movie is, like I kind of alluded to, was a movie that really very, very close to never saw the light of day for its obstacles, because there was like I said, just some serious difference of opinions between people that were fairly involved in the film at some points, and there was conflict for sure post the initial filming session, to where Matt kind of threw his hands up and walked away, and without Matt this really couldn't happen. So for him to come back around and to feel the passion and the love for it again is with it so it came so close to just being something that you tell your friends that you did, that people don't even believe because there's no proof of it.
Really that's just it. I mean, you talk about biggest obstacles. I don't think there was one. The only biggest obstacle, as Chris said, was it literally, we thought it was dead. When we left Gabriel Island, where we filmed all those camp scenes where you can see all the cabins, when we left there, we had about 60% of the film done, and Matt pretty much disappeared. He was so stressed out, and there was, a lot of tension. There was a few cast that left the set during filming. He had to pull them out of the film because they left, and then he had to plug in the holes over the next 3 years once he got going again, with some of these character issues, because some of the cast were gone, and there were some love stories that were supposed to play out which didn't, because one of the two, like for instance, Aidan O'Toole, the Irish guy, he ended up falling in love with the potatoes. That wasn't the plan. The plan was he was supposed to fall in love with a woman who, when she gets slapped, she sings.
Oh my!
Yeah, he was supposed to fall in love with her, and some really funny scenes between the two of them. But she basically left, and so we couldn't finish that love story. So Matt wrote in that Aidan O'Toole, the Irish, he loves potatoes, and so he makes. So there was a lot of challenges kind of halfway through and beyond, but we need at least an hour and several beers to go over those at a later date.
Fair enough. And I'm glad, and Cody's glad, and we're glad that you guys didn't fully put the things to quit, and we're glad Matt went through with it, because in all honesty, you do have the makings for a great cult classic horror movie on your hands here. And I mean that in the highest regards. I really do. Because you definitely brought a film that basically is looking at the current PC culture and is just like, fuck that. We're supposed to be able to laugh at each other and laugh at ourselves. Let's make a great horror movie where we can't take it serious, has great gore, has great humor in it, and just something that everyone enjoys. And you guys did that. You and the entire crew of Camp Death did that, and Matt Frame led and did that, and we thank you for a movie like this, and I really do mean that.
Very, really, really appreciate that it's getting an audience now, and people are coming to appreciate the fun we had with being part of it.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for that. And it is when we started out, a lot of us were like, what sort of path down on this, because we knew it was going to be an absurd, very politically incorrect movie. But we just realized, hey, it pokes fun at everybody, everything, everyone, and none of it. There's one group that is ostracized or pointed down. Everybody is, and that's kind of the fun of it. So we're really glad that it's up your alley, and if this becomes a cult classic, then that's fantastic. I know I felt that way from day one, that it has the potential, and now that it's done, I'm like, yeah, like why not? It's a fun movie.
I can agree with that statement anymore. Well, we'll go ahead and get you guys out because I know you both have a busy schedule and you have things you have to get to. So you've already kind of touched on it, but we'll do it one more time. Where can the ghouls and gals and all of our listeners check out Camp Death 3, and when is it going to officially be out?
I couldn't give you an official when is it going to be out completely because, like I say, we're kind of running the festival circuit first. But I know we might try and get it on Amazon fairly soon. And if we get it on Amazon, I'm not sure if it would be under Prime. So you'd have to have a Prime membership to see it, or if it'll be a pay-per-view kind of thing. But that's probably going to happen sooner rather than later. I don't think it'll happen this year, but maybe early next year. But definitely go onto Facebook and follow the page there. That's where the best place to keep updated on it. And festivals, every time we get into a festival, we post that on that page. So if there's a festival playing near you, or you have one, like we're playing down in South America somewhere. I can't remember which festival it is. We got into it. But if you want to go down, you want an excuse to go down there, it might be Argentina or something. You got an excuse to go down and check it out. So yeah, that's the best place to definitely keep up to date on it.
Perfect. Well, you heard it there, ghouls and gals. You keep your eyes out for Camp Death 3 in 2D. Look for it on Amazon. If you are at any film festivals where this is being shown, make sure you don't miss it. Don't pass it up. Go in. Get your funny bone working again. Laugh at yourself, laugh at society, and laugh at Camp Death 3. Thank you, Chris, and thank you, Dan and Dave. Sorry. I have a bad speech impediment, so I apologize. Thank you to both you and Chris and Dave for coming on and for doing this interview. It's been a blast, and podcast over.
All right. Thanks. Yeah, thanks so much.
All right. Bye.
Okay. I'm gonna run here. I overstayed my my time away from my toddler, so I'm gonna get back to him. But yeah, thanks so much. I'm glad you liked the movie.
And are you still there, Matt? Oh, okay, cool. Oh no, I didn't know that you did. I just thought sometimes you just because I know sometimes I mess people's names up too. So no, I apologize for teasing you a little bit. I didn't realize that. Yeah. Okay. Right. Right. Okay. Cool. Okay. Cool. Yeah, that was fun. I